Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Daily Bizling. Today, James Cebrynski is back, and we're talking about how to manage stress and anxiety as it relates to the presidential election. James, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Yeah, it's been a big week, and we're still in a holding pattern. So before we dig in, give me a 10 moment.
Yeah, the 10 moment of the week. I'm getting ready to host a team retreat tomorrow, which I'm so excited about. Thinking and planning about 2021 is a winning strategy for me. I'm a planner and I know that about myself. So getting that game plan together early, I think will be really helpful for me moving forward. So very excited about that one.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I thought it seemed only appropriate that our conversation this morning, revolve around what's happening in the country right now. And as it relates to sports, of course, here we are in overtime, and it's a very, very tight game. And somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And one of the things that I've been hearing from people this week is just, the anxiety and the anxiousness around the end result and how that's going to impact people.
Yeah, I mean, friends, family members, everyone I know, I feel like that's top of mind, and we were all glued to our televisions last night. So, what tips or winning strategies do you have for us? Because I know we're all feeling it.
I know. Well, it's all about energy management and emotional management, right? So, first realizing that every thought, every action, every conversation, has an energy consequence for positive or negative. So you really have to ask yourself, like, what is best for me to engage in this conversation, to pull myself away from the TV? How can I make sure that I'm taking care of myself? And that means also being aware of how you are feeling. If you are feeling anxious and you're feeling some anxiety, then the question becomes, okay, what are my feelings behind it? What are the thoughts and the feelings that I'm associating with this? Is it fear? Is it my future feels unknown? Do I believe A, B, C, and D is going to happen if so-and-so wins? Kind of what is that anxiety about? And then also, I think it's just really important that there's going to be an outcome. And whenever there's a loss or disappointment, we experience grief. And so I think the most important thing is, you may go through the 5 stages of grief, which includes anger, depression, denial, bargaining, and then acceptance. And they don't necessarily go in that order, but you may experience all parts of that. And so just kind of being aware, like, ooh, I'm experiencing some grief here. And some people may go through that grief process in 10 minutes, and other people might feel it for days, or months potentially. But just kind of acknowledging first and foremost grief, I think, is a great tool to just, say, okay, now what do I want to do about it? What do you think?
I think heightening awareness around that, I think, is a great place to start, and just really understanding how we're feeling about the situation. No matter what, there are going to be some people in this world that are unhappy with the end results. And of course, that's something that we'll have to overcome and get through. So do you have any additional tips for if our selected, presidential individual isn't selected, what do we do? How can we overcome that, aside from just identifying and further understanding, our heightened emotions?
Yeah. And so first of all, just acknowledging the grief around it, and you've got to go through that process. So, and then, anchoring in the winning strategies for you. So if you are feeling a little bit anxious, one of the best things that you can do is distract yourself. You can take yourself out of that situation. So maybe you have an activity or an event that you really enjoy that, really takes your mind away. Maybe you practice something new, because whenever we're engaged in learning something new, even a new technology, a new sport, learning, how to play a new instrument, anything like that, we have to put all of our energy and attention and focus into that thing. And so maybe by just trying something new, we also know that being out in nature is really, really helpful if we're feeling any kind of anxiety or stress. And the other thing too is, if you're feeling anger, recognize how that is chemically impacting your body. The more anger that we have, the more cortisol we produce in our body, and that ultimately affects our immune system. it affects so many other parts of our body. And so if you are feeling that, then the question becomes, okay, what can I do to maybe ignite some of those other chemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins? We know serving others, so helping others, and also exercise are good tools to help us do that. But also, I want to challenge everyone to think about, am I going to be the cortisol for someone else? So if I'm lashing out at somebody else and causing them stress and anxiety because I'm being, verbally abusive or really showing my feelings over a loss, then now you're causing cortisol to be produced in somebody else. And you might be doing it to somebody you really love and care about, and maybe you don't want to do that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, just having that heightened awareness. And of course, there's things that we have to continue to work through as individuals, whether it's the presidential election or other things happening in our personal or professional lives. So, that heightened awareness around what we're doing or how that can impact other people in your lives, especially if that's not really your intention, I think is something great to be mindful of. And it sounds like a great challenge for the week.
Well, and
so,
I was just going to say too, the first team that we're on is the me team. So just kind of recognizing how our own emotions are being impacted, and see if we can't really ask ourselves the question, like, how are those feelings serving me and what's really behind it? But then if we step back and realize we're part of a much bigger team called the United States of America, how can I serve the team in a greater way? Because we still can be the change we want to see in the world. If we didn't get what we wanted, ask ourselves the questions, okay, how do I want to change and how do I want to be in this world in spite of the outcome?
Awesome. A lot of great things to think about here this week, Jane. Appreciate you being with us and looking forward to our conversation next
Go
week.
team.